Perfect Strangers is one of the greatest comeback albums in rock history. Mark II, Gillan, Blackmore, Lord, Pace, and Glover, back together after 11 years apart. And they didn't phone it in. The title track alone is worth the price of admission. Knocking at Your Back Door is a 6-minute opener that earns every second. This is a great album, but it's not quite the album it should have been. Like Fireball and Who Do We Think We Are? I think we can improve Perfect Strangers by changing just two things: swapping out one track and fixing the sequencing. So let's get right to it. First, let's talk about the track that has to go, and that is Under the Gun. Look, I know it's not a terrible song in isolation, but on a reunion album, following Knocking at Your Back Door in the second slot, it's the wrong song in the wrong place. I mean, this is Mark II coming out of hibernation, and they have something to prove. Under the Gun doesn't really prove anything. It just sort of sits there. On an album where every track needs to earn its place, Under the Gun doesn't come close. So it's got to go. And in its place, I'm bringing in Not Responsible. Now, before you get riled up, I know some people are going to be saying, well, it's already on the CD. However, version, it was a bonus track for the cassette and CD, and it wasn't on the original vinyl. And at the time, the vinyl edition was the definitive version of the album. If they wanted Not Responsible on the album, it would have been included on vinyl. Is it a lost classic? No, but it's a stronger track than Under the Gun, if for no other reason than it doesn't get lost in the land of hope and glory, and it deserves to actually be on the album. So in it goes. Now the sequencing, and this is where I get a bit worked up. The original vinyl album ran like this, Knocking at Your Back Door, Under the Gun, Nobody's Home, Mean Streak, Perfect Strangers, A Gypsy's Kiss, Wasted Sunsets, and Hungry Days. So two problems off the bat. First, A Gypsy's Kiss is buried at track 6. 6! One of the best examples of the classic Blackmore and Lord doing what they always did, competing, pushing against each other, two completely different musical instincts trying to occupy the same space. This track should be near the front of the album, not tucked away in the second half where really casual listeners would never reach it. Second, the ending. The original closes with Hungry Days, which would be fine, except that track 7 is Wasted Sunsets. A slow track that fades out naturally. Full stop. It's where the lights go down. And then Hungry Days comes in and stomps all over the vibe. Ending on Hungry Days after Wasted Sunsets is like a restaurant bringing you a steak after you've already had dessert. The emotional logic is completely backwards. Somebody in 1984 got this badly wrong. So here's Perfect Strangers as it should have been. Track 1, Knocking at Your Back Door. It doesn't move. It was always the right opener and still is. 6 minutes of Mark II announcing the reunion is not a nostalgia exercise. So it stays exactly where it was. Track 2, A Gypsy's Kiss. This is the change that defines the Reimagined album. Moving it from track 6 to track 2 means the Blackmore-Lord dynamic is front and center for the listener immediately. By track 2, you know what this album is about. You also keep the momentum that Knocking at Your Back Door builds, another long, ambitious track that says the band isn't coasting. Also, it prevents the album from kicking off with back-to-back mid-tempo songs. Track 3, Mean Streak. The tempo comes down slightly, but the energy holds. After 2 extended pieces, Mean Streak gives the listener a breather without letting the album go soft. It's the bridge between the big opening statement and the eventual centerpiece. Track 4, Not Responsible. Now in its rightful place. Melodically lighter, a little more direct, exactly what the album needs at this point. In vinyl terms, this is your side A closer, and Not Responsible closes it out nicely. The track was denied to vinyl buyers in 1984, and it finally gets its moment. Track 5, Perfect Strangers. The title track, at the center where it belongs and where it's always been. The opening keyboard lands harder when you've already spent 20 minutes inside this album. Everything before it has been building toward this. Track 6, Nobody's Home. This works better on the second half. It's a straightforward rocker, a moment of focus after the centerpiece. I found on the original it arrived just a little too early, and here it has room to breathe. Track 7, Hungry Days. Moved from the closing position to track 7 where it belongs. It has drive and energy. It uses that energy to set up the ending rather than blow up the ending. And track 8, Wasted Sunsets, the closer, where it should have been all along. The album fades out naturally, it resolves, and it gives you somewhere to land. So there you have it. Perfect Strangers reimagined with just 2 changes. Drop Under the Gun, bring in Not Responsible, and fix the sequencing. The result? A Gypsy's Kiss gets the spotlight it always deserved, and Not Responsible finally makes it onto the album proper. And Wasted Sunsets closes the record the way it was always meant to, without Hungry Days coming in afterwards and killing the vibe. This is the Perfect Strangers Deep Purple should have released. For your listening pleasure, I've created a playlist so you can listen to the album as I propose. You really do need to listen to it a couple times to let the changes sink in. The link is in the description below. Have a great day.